Have you noticed that as the years pass, the things that once felt so important don't hold the same weight anymore? The latest gadget, the biggest house on the block, a closet bursting with clothes somehow, they just don't stir the same excitement they used to. Instead, what you crave is peace, space to breathe, more laughter, fewer headaches. After 60, many people discover something both freeing and surprising. You can be happier with less. Less stuff, less noise, less pressure to keep up. And when you learn how to embrace that, life starts to feel lighter, like setting down a heavy bag you didn't even realize you were carrying. Imagine this for a moment. You wake up in the morning, no rush. No schedule packed from dawn to dusk. The sun is streaming through the window, and your kitchen is neat, with only the things you actually use sitting on the counter. There's no pile of unopened mail demanding your attention, no heap of someday projects weighing on your mind. You make your coffee, maybe step outside to feel the morning air, and you realize this is enough. That moment is worth more than any fancy car or shiny trinket ever could be. But here's the thing. Getting to that place doesn't just happen. It's a choice, a practice. And the good news is, it's a choice you can start making today. The first step is learning to let go of the idea that more is automatically better. Society spends decades teaching us to collect, to accumulate, to strive for bigger, newer, faster. But the truth is, every single thing you own also owns a piece of your time, your attention, your energy. That drawer full of clothes you never wear. It nags you every time you open it. The garage crammed with just-in-case items. It steals your peace of mind without you even realizing it. Letting go doesn't mean you have to live like a monk or throw away everything you love. It means keeping only the things that add genuine value to your life. The sweater that makes you feel cozy and warm? Keep it. The one that itches and sits untouched for years. Thank it for its time and let it go. When you start to clear the physical clutter, you'll notice something unexpected. Your mind feels lighter, too. The extra space in your home creates extra space in your head. You'll find it easier to focus on what matters: your health, your relationships, your hobbies, because you're not constantly tripping over distractions. It's not about being organized for the sake of organization. It's about making room for joy. A tidy corner where you can read in peace. A kitchen where you can cook without digging through piles of unused gadgets. These little changes make a big difference in your daily happiness. Of course, it's not just about possessions. Being happier with less also means freeing yourself from unnecessary obligations. How many times have you said yes to something when your heart wanted to say no? Maybe it was a committee you didn't care about, a social event you were too tired to enjoy, or a favor that left you feeling drained. After 60, your time is more precious than ever. You've earned the right to spend it in ways that truly fulfill you. Saying no isn't selfish, it's self-respect. Every time you decline something that doesn't align with your values, you're saying yes to more time for the people and activities you love. And here's another layer: choosing less also helps you notice and appreciate what's already here. Think about your favorite meal. If you eat it every single day, it loses its magic. But if you enjoy it occasionally, savoring every bite, it stays special. Life works the same way. When you stop chasing after more, you start noticing the sweetness of what you already have. A simple walk in the park feels richer. A phone call with a loved one feels more meaningful. You begin to realize that happiness isn't hiding in the next purchase or the next milestone, it's in the moments you're living right now. This mindset shift doesn't happen overnight, and that's okay. You might start by making small, gentle changes. Clear out one shelf. Cancel one commitment you've been dreading. Spend one evening without the TV, just enjoying the quiet. Notice how each small step lightens your load. These little victories build on each other until one day, you look around and realize your life feels calmer, clearer, more yours. Once you begin to let go of the extra, whether it's things, obligations, or even old habits, you create space for something much more valuable to move in. And that something often turns out to be the very thing you've been missing for years. The ability to enjoy your days without feeling pulled in 100 directions. That, my friend, is the real richness of life after 60. Now that we've explored how simplifying your surroundings and commitments can lift a huge weight from your shoulders, we can take the next step looking at how focusing on the right connections can multiply your happiness even more. You know, when we talk about less, it's easy to think only in terms of stuff the boxes in the attic, the knickknacks on the shelf. But one of the most powerful forms of less is trimming down the number of relationships that drain you instead of filling you up. After 60, you realize you don't have to keep every friendship, attend every family gathering, or stay in touch with people who only bring stress into your life. Your circle doesn't have to be big. It just has to be real. Think about it. How many times have you walked away from a conversation feeling lighter, happier, more understood? And how many times have you walked away feeling tense, criticized, or just tired? The truth is, every person in your life is either adding to your energy or taking from it. You're allowed to choose the ones who make you feel alive. It's not about shutting people out. It's about making room for deeper, more nourishing connections. Quality really does matter more than quantity. And at this stage of life, your energy is too precious to spend on relationships that leave you empty. One of the beautiful surprises that comes with this shift is that when you focus on the right people, your days feel richer even if you see them less often. A single heartfelt conversation can mean more than a dozen polite small talks. A quiet cup of tea with someone who listens, who laughs with you, who cares about your stories, will do more for your spirit than a whole afternoon spent with people who don't. And when you choose your company wisely, you'll notice that even your alone time starts to feel more satisfying because you're not filling it with the leftover emotions from draining interactions. Another way to be happier with less is by letting go of the constant pursuit of doing more. It's tempting to think that every day needs to be packed with activity to be meaningful. But rest is not wasted time. After all, what's the point of slowing down if you're just going to fill every moment with busy work? There's a quiet magic in having unplanned hours time where you can sit on the porch and watch the clouds, linger over a book without checking the clock, or listen to music without thinking about what's next. These moments may not look productive from the outside, but they feed your soul in a way that rushing never can. And here's where something wonderful happens when you stop chasing the next thing. You begin to notice the beauty in the small things. A bird's song in the morning, the way sunlight falls across the table, the simple comfort of a favorite chair. It's as if your senses wake up again, tuned into the quiet joys that were always there, but too often drowned out by the noise of more. This isn't just sentiment, it's a real, tangible shift in how you experience your days. Part of this is also about letting go of old pressures, especially the pressure to keep proving yourself. For decades, many of us measured our worth by how much we could accomplish, earn, or provide. But after 60, you've already proven yourself in so many ways. You've worked, raised families, built communities, overcome challenges. You don't need to keep climbing a ladder that no longer leads where you want to go. Instead, you can focus on living in a way that feels true to you, whether that's tending a garden, mentoring someone younger, or simply enjoying the slower rhythm you've earned. The beauty of this season of life is that it allows for a kind of honesty you might not have given yourself before. You can admit what you do and don't want. You can decide that your living room doesn't need a TV, or that you'd rather eat breakfast at 10 than at 7, or that your idea of a perfect weekend is doing absolutely nothing. When you drop the need to match someone else's pace or picture, you free yourself to create a life that's perfectly suited to you. And here's the best part: this isn't about giving things up and feeling deprived. It's about realizing you already have enough, and that enough feels better than too much. When your home, your schedule, and your relationships are all lighter, you suddenly have space for more of what matters: laughter, curiosity, peace, and moments you'll remember long after the details fade. From here, the next natural step is to see how living with less not only simplifies life, but also makes room for more gratitude, and gratitude, more than almost anything else, can transform the way you feel every single day. Gratitude has this quiet, almost sneaky way of changing how you see the world. You might think it's just about saying thank you more often, but it's so much deeper than that. It's about shifting your gaze from what's missing to what's already here, right in front of you. And when you've simplified your life, when you've trimmed the clutter, the noise, and the unnecessary pressures, gratitude becomes easier to feel because you're no longer distracted by the endless chase for more. Picture yourself sitting at the kitchen table in the early morning. There's a cup of tea warming your hands. You can hear the faint hum of the refrigerator, the tick of the clock, maybe the first chirps of the birds outside. Nothing big is happening. And yet, in that stillness, you feel a fullness in your chest. You're alive. You're here. You have this moment. That's gratitude, and it doesn't require a new purchase, a big event, or anyone else's approval. It's something you can touch every single day if you choose to look for it. When you start noticing these little things, your mind begins to rewire itself. The small irritations, traffic, a misplaced set of keys, a rainy afternoon, start to lose their grip because you're too busy noticing the smell of the rain, the sound of laughter from down the hall, the way the light makes the trees glow after a storm. Gratitude doesn't erase life's problems, but it makes them feel smaller, more manageable, like they're no longer the whole picture. And here's the beautiful truth. Gratitude multiplies joy. When you appreciate something, you get to experience it twice, once in the moment, and again when you remember it. That phone call with your granddaughter, that walk by the water, that bowl of soup that hit the spot on a cold evening. The more you notice, the more you store up these small treasures in your mind, and the richer your life feels, even without adding a single thing. This mindset also softens the way you view the past. Instead of only thinking about the regrets or the what-ifs, you begin to see the gifts hidden in your own story, the lessons you learned, the people who shaped you, the moments you survived that made you stronger. You realize that even the hard seasons had their bright spots, and that your life has been full in ways you might have overlooked when you were in the middle of it. Gratitude also changes how you connect with others. When you tell someone you appreciate them, not just for what they do, but for who they are, it deepens the bond between you. It's a way of saying, I see you. You matter to me. And it works both ways. When others express their appreciation for you, it fills you in a way no possession ever could. It's a reminder that your presence, your kindness, your wisdom, all of it leaves a mark. But maybe the most powerful thing about gratitude is that it helps you feel at home in your own life. You stop waiting for some perfect future moment to start feeling content, because you realize the perfect moment is the one you're in. That doesn't mean every day is easy, but it does mean you can find something good in every day, a smile, a breath of fresh air, a quiet moment to yourself. When you weave together the threads of living with less and living with more gratitude, something shifts deep inside. Your happiness no longer depends on how much you have, but on how deeply you appreciate what you already hold. And that kind of happiness is steady. It doesn't crumble when circumstances change, because it's built on a foundation that's always available to you. From here, the final piece falls naturally into place, understanding how this simpler, more grateful way of living opens the door to a deeper sense of purpose, and how finding that purpose can make your later years the most meaningful chapter yet. Purpose is one of those words that can feel intimidating, like it belongs to people who are starting companies, writing books, or changing the world in huge ways. But the truth is, purpose isn't always about grand gestures. It's about feeling that your days matter, that your time is spent on something that brings you and maybe even others a little more light. And after 60, with the clutter stripped away and gratitude guiding you, finding or rediscovering that purpose often becomes simpler. You might notice that the things which give you the most satisfaction now are the ones that have been quietly calling to you for years. Maybe it's tending a garden and sharing vegetables with your neighbors. Maybe it's mentoring younger people who are just starting out in their careers. Maybe it's creating art, music, or stories. Not for fame or money, but simply because it brings you joy. Purpose doesn't have to be loud or public. It can live in the small, consistent ways you contribute to your own well-being and the lives around you. And here's something you might not expect. Purpose and simplicity feed each other. When you're not tangled in obligations or weighed down by possessions you don't need, you free up energy for the things that really matter to you. You can say yes to the opportunities that excite you without worrying about fitting them into a crowded schedule. You can give your time and attention fully, instead of scattering it across a dozen half-hearted commitments. Purpose also has a way of keeping you young at heart. It gets you out of bed in the morning with something to look forward to, even if it's just a small project or a connection you'll make that day. It can be as humble as checking in on a friend who's been feeling lonely, or as ambitious as learning a skill you've always been curious about. The size doesn't matter. What matters is that it feels meaningful to you. There's also a beautiful ripple effect when you live with purpose. The people around you feel it. They see your energy, your joy, your sense of direction, and it inspires them. You become a quiet reminder that life doesn't stop being rich and rewarding after a certain age. If anything, it can become more intentional, more authentic, and more deeply satisfying. But here's the real gift. When you combine purpose with a life that's lighter and filled with gratitude, you stop measuring your happiness by comparison to others. You're not chasing someone else's definition of success or fulfillment. You're living in alignment with your own. And that's when happiness becomes steady, not dependent on circumstances, because it's rooted in the choices you make every day. So perhaps being happier with less isn't really about less at all. It's about making room for more of the things that matter: more peace, more connection, more appreciation, and more purpose. It's about choosing to fill your life not with what looks impressive from the outside, but with what feels right on the inside. And when you live that way, you discover something remarkable. You didn't actually need all the extra after all. If you've been feeling like your life is too crowded, whether it's your home, your schedule, or even your mind, start small. Clear one corner. Free up one afternoon. Say no to one thing that doesn't light you up, and then watch what moves in to take its place. You might be surprised at just how much happiness can grow in the space you create. Because at the end of the day, happiness after 60 isn't about adding more to your life. It's about uncovering the joy that's been there all along, waiting for you to make room for it. Here's to living lighter, loving deeper, and feeling truly at home in your own life, no matter how much or how little you have. And maybe that's the greatest secret of all. When you finally stop chasing, life has a way of coming toward you. The phone rings with a friend's voice you haven't heard in years. The sunset seems to pause just for you. The quiet in your home stops feeling empty and starts feeling peaceful. You begin to notice that the things you thought you needed to add were never the source of joy. It was always about the space to see, feel, and be present for the moments you already have. There's a certain kind of freedom in not having to prove anything anymore. You don't need to impress anyone with how much you own, how busy you are, or how far you've traveled. Instead, you can measure your days by how many times you laughed, how deeply you rested, how warmly you connected. And the truth is, these are the things people remember. Years from now, it won't be the car in the driveway or the brand of your clothes. It'll be the way you made others feel, the moments you chose to show up, and the joy you allowed yourself to experience. This kind of happiness is sturdy. It weathers the ups and downs of life because it's not built on things that can break or fade away. It's in the morning light spilling into your kitchen. It's in the familiar sound of your favorite song. It's in the hug you give without rushing, the stories you share without holding back. When you live lighter, every one of these becomes easier to notice, easier to hold close, easier to treasure. So, Maybe being happier with less isn't about deprivation, it's about liberation. It's about giving yourself permission to live in a way that's simpler, but richer in meaning. And the beautiful irony is, when you choose less of what drains you, you automatically make space for more of what fills you. More love, more peace, more days that feel like they're truly yours. You've already lived through decades of doing, striving, and proving. Now is your time to enjoy the fruits of that effort, to savor instead of rush, to breathe instead of push, to fill your life with moments you'll remember not because they were grand, but because they were yours. Every choice you make toward simplicity is a choice toward freedom, and that, more than anything else, is what makes happiness last. So as you look at the days ahead, ask yourself, what can I set down? What can I say no to? And in doing that, what might I finally have room to welcome in? You may just find that less isn't just enough, it's exactly what you've been searching for all along.